Professional wrestling is not just a mere form of entertainment. It represents a unique blend of athleticism, storytelling, and showmanship that captivates audiences worldwide. The value of professional wrestling cannot be understated, as it offers an unparalleled form of escapism and excitement for millions of fans. From the larger-than-life characters to the high-flying maneuvers executed inside the ring, each match delivers an adrenaline rush that transports spectators to an extraordinary world where imagination reigns supreme. Moreover, professional wrestling provides an empowering platform for diverse performers to showcase their talents and break societal barriers. Whether it is cheering for your favorite hero or passionately rooting against a villain, professional wrestling creates a sense of unity among its passionate fan base. It brings people together from different walks of life to collectively experience joy, heartache, and triumph in unison. Thus, the value of professional wrestling lies not only in its ability to entertain, but also in its remarkable capacity to inspire and unite people across the globe. Welcome to the weekly Roundup podcast, hosted by Big Time and Paulus Clarke, presented by The Value of Wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for The Value of Wrestling. We vow to put the value back in wrestling. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and children of all ages, it's time. Oh, you know it's time. It's time for another weekly roundup right here on The Value of Wrestling. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're back again for the week ending in August 19th, 2023, and what a week it is. And let's go ahead and get on screen. I'm here, I'm the Big Time, along with my tag team partner, my cohort, the co-founder, the co-president. I don't know, we can give him a million titles. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only,
Paulus Clarke.
Oh, you know. Welcome back. What a crazy week. Lots of stuff going on. Canada was on fire. Now Maui's on fire. Now we got hurricanes hitting Southern California. Maybe going to rip up through Nevada. Crazy. 4 more expected to hit Florida. And what a week it is. And wrestling did not... I don't think it disappointed in some cases. Some people might say it did. And in other cases, some might say it didn't. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this is a weekly roundup. Let's get through some house cleaning steps before we get going. So, first thing we need you to do is go ahead and hit it. I can talk. I promise you I can do this. Let's go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
You can do it!
I know. Let's go ahead and hit that subscribe button because you want to be subscribed to all of our wonderful content here right on The Value of Wrestling. We are a growing channel. We need all the subscribers we can get. Your subscription helps boost the algorithm so we get out there more to more people and grow this audience. Also, go ahead and hit that bell for notifications because you want to know when we put up new videos because you never know when a new video might pop up. Like The Value of Wrestling's very own episode of Big Time Rants that came out this week. If you didn't have your bell on, you may not have known there would have been another episode that popped up. So make sure you have that bell rung for notifications. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up because you know you like this content, because you like us, because we're good at what we do and we do what we do, and you know it. Anyway, so there's some house cleaning. Now let's get over to one more thing. Are you a New Japan Pro Wrestling fan? Are you a lukewarm like AEW, but you know New Japan, so you're interested in New Japan? Or are you a baby who doesn't know really much about New Japan? Somebody like me who's like, I know names. I can throw names around. I can act like I know something, but I really don't. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We got you covered over on Spotify. Yes, The Value of Wrestling is on Spotify with our partner in crime, our other tag partner in this growing, hopefully stable. Yes, we're talking about Miguel, who's going to bring you all the news on New Japan Pro Wrestling. I believe the G1 Climax just wrapped up. He goes over everything that happened with the G1 Climax, who the winner was, all the details, the fallout. He's giving you a whole review over there. So go ahead, check out on Spotify The Value of Wrestling with Miguel. He's going to give you everything you need to know about New Japan. Maybe you'll become a more diehard fan of New Japan Wrestling. Maybe you'll become a brand new fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Those are a lot of words to get all tongue-tied, but we're doing it. So anyways, on Spotify with Miguel, Value Wrestling, where we vow to put the value back into wrestling.
So what you're saying is Miguel tends to break it down.
Break it down. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he will break it down in the New Japan style of wrestling for you, and we bring you the other wrestlings outside of a couple other ones that we were debating about. They did some interesting stuff recently with the returning of Eric Young on Impact. Impact actually kind of looking decent as a wrestling organization. There's some life existing there that might actually be worthy of some watching. I don't know. We'll see. NXT, I don't know. It just I guess we got to get into it eventually. It is supposed to be an equal third brand down, not a a minor
Not
league
developmental.
brand. Yeah. So at some point we're gonna have to do that. But let's go ahead. Let's jump into our reviews, and then we have a lot of news to cover. I mean, there's just newsworthiness, good and bad, whatever, indifferent. We're going to go over all that stuff because we have to. That's what we do. That's what our job is here, to bring you all the important updates in the world of professional wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you're going to call it. So Monday Night Raw. What a Raw we had. I think it was a very decent Raw. We opened Raw with Judgment Day. Coming down in the ring, we had Damian Priest along with Mummy, Rhea Ripley, and Mr. Dirty Dom. And I wish somebody got any body wash. I think we need to start a GoFundMe to raise money to buy a bunch of body wash and have it shipped out to Dom. I think that's maybe something we need to start right here. A GoFundMe for Dirty Dom so he can get himself cleaned up because we don't want anybody to be dirty. But anyways, missing from the group this night was Finn Balor. And Judgment Day came out. There was talks back and forth, and lo and behold, J.D. McDonough. Did I say it right finally? Okay, I'm getting there.
Yeah.
It's just because I'm not used to hearing his name. Once I hear his name, it'll be more comfortable to say. It's a weird J.D. McDonough.
It also didn't help that he wasn't on the show for the longest time, despite being recruited or being, called up.
Exactly. So we got McDonough come down to the ring. He has a small little confrontation. It was an awkward confrontation with Judgment Day, which led to Sami Zayn coming down the ringside and beating the snot out of McDonough. And from there, Judgment Day basically said, "Go ahead, Sami, handle your business." And we had a one-on-one match between J.D. McDonough and Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn came out the winner there. It was a very good match. I think, did Balor come out at the end of this? Or no, we didn't see Balor until later, right? We didn't have any interaction with Balor at this time.
Yeah, it was a bit later in the show.
So from there, we had a great match with Chad Gable and Giovanni Vinci. Chad Gable winning in a very good match, very solid, great match. There's not a whole lot to put in there. It was just a good match. After that match was over, Gunther, who spent most of the time standing on the announce table, decided to challenge Otis to a match, and Gunther beat Otis in a really good match. Otis looked really good in this match, and of course Gunther always looking really good, continuing to build the feud with Chad Gable and Gunther for the Intercontinental title. So very good, strong match there, both of them.
Yeah.
And then in the world of kind of ridiculousness, I think I know where this storyline's going. We had Riddle come down to the ring by himself to take on the Viking Raiders, and then Drew McIntyre's music comes out. Drew McIntyre comes down. Drew McIntyre with the Claymore to give Riddle and Drew McIntyre the win. We go into a backstage segment. They're hanging out. I definitely think they're slowly going to build tension there between Drew McIntyre and Riddle. As much as I want to see Riddle turn heel, the only way I want to see Riddle turn heel would be on a returning Orton. I don't really want to see Riddle turn heel on McIntyre because I think it would be better for McIntyre to turn heel on Riddle. Even though I really believe Riddle needs to be a heel, I think in this case, I think McIntyre turning on Riddle is the right direction. But definitely,
I just thought it was weird, even before the match, just the segment they had between McIntyre and Riddle.
Yeah. No, I think they're setting us up for something there, so we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Then we had Indy Hartwell for, I don't know if Indy's actually had a match on Raw. Hasn't been recent if she has since she's been drafted. And she went one-on-one with Rhea Ripley. Dirty Dom at ringside. Of course, Rhea Ripley beat Indy Hartwell. Good match for what it is. Nothing spectacular. There wasn't a whole lot of spectacular over-the-top stuff on Raw. It was just good Raw stuff. So
good, solid material.
Then we got into the match that was kind of a throwaway with Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus. We got this match and ended up spilling out of the ring into a double countout. They wound up into the concession stand area where Zoe Starks comes out of nowhere, attacks Becky Lynch. Eventually, this unfolds a double count out. Then we get Adam Pearce in there, who's saying this match, I guess, is this, as you like to say, this feud must continue. So from there, we got into the main event, which is Cody Rhodes against Finn Balor, which was a great match. We had JD McDonough in there. We had Judgment Day come out trying to interfere and mess everything up. Eventually, Cody comes out with the win. And we continue to see the breakdown of Judgment Day. A lot of rumors and speculating that Judgment Day is going to separate, with Finn Balor remaining the lead and Damian Priest going off on his own. McDonough to replace kind of the Damian Priest into Judgment Day. So I think, we're still seeing that. Lots of stuff going on there. So I guess we just have to wait and see for how that plays out.
Yeah. It's definitely a wait-and-see game. On one hand, I think McDonough in Judgment Day could be interesting, but it's definitely going to be different than the current.
Yeah, because you're going to be missing the big man. Damian Priest does play the big man. They need to fill that void bigger than McDonough can be there, but I'm still like, you're going to miss that big monster piece, kind of. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out.
Well, because what they're going to do, if they go that route, is they're going to rely on McDonough's viciousness, his brutality, even if... it's like you're right. He's not the big man. He can't play that role.
So we're going to play him more like an Arn Anderson to Ric Flair in the Horseman style.
Along those lines.
So Raw, coming out of Raw, we have quite a few different things going on. We still have a Chad Gable Gunther storyline that's being built. We have a Riddle McIntyre interesting relationship that we don't know how that's going to play out. A lot of hints there. We know the Becky Lynch Trish Stratus story is going to continue, whether you like the story, don't like the story. It definitely looks like it's continuing, and we're going to continue to see Cody Rhodes be built up the way he is. I don't know if we're going to get Cody versus Finn Balor on the next event, Payback. So it's kind of wait to see, because they really haven't given us a direction of where Cody's going, which maybe that's fine. They're not trying to really define where Cody's going. They're just trying to hold him over until they need him. Of course, he may be building this Judgment Day feud that'll lead into maybe Survivor Series. On again, off again reports that we're going back to having War Games. I'm assuming if Vince is not completely back and Triple H is running most of it, like I feel. Yes, I know Vince is still in the background on some end, but it does feel like Triple H has more authority over what's going on the daily shows. So for building the Survivor Series, I would assume Triple H would make sure we have a War Games type of matchup. So maybe that's what we're going to see, a Cody Rhodes, a Sami Zayn, and maybe Kevin Owens will be back. Who knows, in that combination against Judgment Day, with maybe they allow McDonough in before the complete breakup. Who knows? So then we go into Dynamite, the Fight for the Fallen edition of Dynamite, which I'll never get used to weeks of title shows, because we have Fight for the Fallen this week, and then it's Fyter Fest next week now that's been announced.
That was right.
Kind of like going, okay, can we not like you can give me a week?
But at least the Fight for the Fallen gimmick kind of makes sense in this respect that every time they have it, it's definitely, it's basically to benefit other things,
yes,
other causes.
No, it's good, but they need to make it feel like it's something special. And I get it's in Nashville. It needs to feel a little more like Fight for the Fallen. If we're doing Fallen, if we're doing first responders or whatever the thing is, I think this week was from Maui. The money was all going to Maui, which is great. Awesome, good thing. But I just feel like there should be more specialty things that are wrapped around what they're representing, and the Fight of the Fallen should feel like it's special. Since it's a titled edition of Dynamite, it should feel way more special. And way more special than this show, because this show Dynamite did not make the cut this week. Dynamite was probably the worst show of the week for a handful of reasons. Of course, we did have a really good opening match. They really did set up Fight for the Fallen with a really good open match. Orange Cassidy versus Wheeler Yuta for the international title. This was a great match. I think they both guys brought it. We went back and forth. Orange Cassidy eventually won, and then we had the breakdown with the BCC coming down of Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli coming down in the ring, which then brought the BCC, which brought the Best Friends down, which then brought the Lucha Brothers down, and then brought back Eddie Kingston. And it was a great moment, but I think that great moment was kind of crushed, because here we go. We have been talking about this, and a lot of people are talking about that. Tony Khan's not really been booking anything for All In. And so, in our first match, here we go. We're going to build a match right here. So our match, which I'm kind of like, we're going to get a Stadium Stampede match at All In, which is going to put the Blackpool Combat Club +3, who we don't know, against the Best Friends, well, along with Orange Cassidy, the Lucha Brothers, and Eddie Kingston in a Stadium Stampede match. And I'm kind of like, I think they could have done a lot more or built a little better with some of these guys, who the mystery opponents are. A lot of people are assuming they're going to be products of New Japan Pro Wrestling to be shoved in there for pops and kicks. I do not believe Bryan Danielson will be back from his broken arm injury just yet. If he was, I don't think they'd be putting him in this match. I think they'd be racing to put him against Kenny Omega. So, I mean, unless they're going to do, well, I guess Bryan Danielson can come to this and not really do like wrestling and bumps. He could do some other stuff. Maybe he can get away with it with his arm in a Stadium Stampede match, which is just kind of, I guess, more of a Blackpool. I mean, this is kind of, it's an Eddie Kingston style match. It's a Blackpool Combat Club match. I kind of see it, but it was just the way it was delivered with Eddie Kingston just going, "Hey, we're going to do this." It was like, oh, okay, so this is how we feel the card.
Allegedly, some people are trying to say that Proud and Powerful will be two of the
I've
BCC.
heard Proud and Powerful, but I mean, why would they join BCC? I mean, it's some, I guess, if they're going to go against Eddie Kingston, but it's like, nah. What's his name? That's buddies with Moxley from New Japan might be in there. There's a lot of people are saying Miro Shinuki or whatever his name is might be in there. Just I'm just kind of going, I don't know if I really want to see. I guess you just don't have. Oh, well, another group has said the House of Black might join the BCC for this purpose. Which, whatever.
They do their own thing. I don't see that.
Well, they're not on the card yet, so I don't know where they fit into all this, if they're going to fit onto the card. But I don't know. It was the Orange Cassidy Wheeler Yuta match was good. The fallout afterwards was okay. The return of Eddie Kingston got a nice pop, but just kind of jumping to we're going to have a Stadium Stampede match, kind of like okay, and it just it is what it was. The match was good, but I don't think the follow up in there to try and get us to buy. I mean, it doesn't make me jump up and go, "Oh, I really want to watch this pay-per-view now." So
it kind of did for me, but that's because I'm just such a massive Eddie Kingston fan.
Yeah.
I don't care what he's doing. Put him on the card. I'm there.
So from there, we got the weirdest ever. We got a weird. Anyways, we had Jericho and Don Callis in the ring. They're going back and forth. And Jericho finally tells Don Callis, "Yes, I'm going to join your family." Don Callis totally shocked that Jericho said yes. They look like they're going to leave or Don Callis goes to leave the ring. Jericho drags him back in because there's a portrait in the middle of the ring. We remove Jericho removes the thing, and then we see Don Callis' new portrait where Don Callis has had himself holding, Jericho's severed head. And Jericho's like, "What? You didn't think I was going to join the family? Tell me the truth." Two over egotistical heels go back and forth, basically saying I thought this was going to turn where they were going to celebrate in the end because they were both so villainous and over because they both throw
right.
You're
so over the top.
And so this led to basically we turned Jericho face by getting rejected by a heel stable. This is he got rejected by Don Callis basically. After he said yes, then Don Callis said, "No, I don't really want you because you're egotistical and all these other things." And we made Jericho babyface, which brought out Takeshita, but then that didn't really get it done. So then we had Will Ospreay, for whatever random reason, decide he was going to help Don Callis and attack Jericho, which again...
Well, remember the last review, Don Callis provided security for Ospreay.
So we had Ospreay come out, and he decided to attack Jericho, which then threw another match at All In, because we're just going to throw matches out here. We're going to get Will Ospreay versus Chris Jericho, and I'm kind of like, I have to agree with some of the pundits out there. If this would have been Jericho 10 years ago, maybe. Right now, I just don't know. We're going to probably see Will Ospreay work a slower match. I just don't know if this is going to be... I don't know. There was a lot of other people who'd rather see a Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega rematch more than a Jericho Will Ospreay match, just kind of off the cuff. Maybe this had a little more story build to it than just kind of, let's just, make a match for a match circumstances. I know Tony Khan's probably trying to get the pop on a Will Ospreay, who's probably going to be the over one there, and Jericho will still be more of a heel in that aspect, but who knows? I don't know how this match blends well we'll have to see. I'm sure they'll pull off a good match, but I think I have to tend to agree with everybody else. A younger Jericho might be a whole lot better. Will Ospreay, I think we're really a little past the time for a Will Ospreay Jericho match to be what we think it should be.
Well, I mean, the match itself is going to be fine, but you're right. With more story build, it would have been better. And the thing that on the outside of AEW, what's helping build Ospreay is the fact that he changed the title of New Japan's United States title into the United Kingdom title. So that, for some people, is going to feed into this also as being the babyface feel.
Yeah. And some people say he's a copycat. But anyways, we won't go down there. CM Punk. Anywho, so we got that interesting thing. Then we jumped into the Gates of Agony versus Darby Allin and Nick Wayne. And then we got into the Gates of Agony versus Darby Allin and Nick Wayne. Darby Allin and Nick Wayne get over. Fox and Swerve come down to the ringside. And then we had the proof in the pudding that Joker Sting has returned, because on a video package we had Joker Sting with Prince Nana in the back where Joker Sting's making his jokes. We're Joker.
I'm glad about that though.
Huh?
It was subtle. It wasn't like his TNA Joker Sting.
No.
It was subtle. Like you could see the things on his mouth.
Yeah.
Like it definitely was Joker Sting.
He was definitely in character, but it wasn't over the top. But yeah. So we had an interesting vignette there. And so then he said it's showtime. Prince Nana ran away. He's like, nah, but come back. Joker Sting's a great character. Hopefully it continues. It kind of does freshen up Sting and makes us watch. And do I really have to talk about the match that came on next? Do I really have to talk about the crap show that was? Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to Clusterfuck Wrestling.
We had a match for a video game. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre has a new video game coming out, and Tony Khan used this to create a Texas Chainsaw Massacre death match and use Jeff Jarrett versus Jeff Hardy for God knows any reason that these two, I mean, at least, could you not have given me Darby Allin against AR Fox in this? Could you not give me two people that maybe this would have made sense for in this type of matchup? Maybe Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs. I mean, was there not anybody else that would have made sense? Like, I could at least have lived through a death match if you would have had a storyline that built up than just going, hey, Jarrett, hey, Jeff, you two are both over and crazy and wait, let's just get you in the ring and have you just try and kill each other. And then Jeff Jarrett wins. Why? I don't know. And then he gets a Texas Chainsaw Deathmatch title. Off the hands of Saddam Singh in coveralls. And Leatherface made his appearance, chasing away Karen Jarrett. And just, why? Who? I mean,
the world will never know.
And some people like this crap. Dustin Rhodes.
What?
Yeah, some people like this match. Even Dustin Rhodes came out and said, I don't get you guys. It's not the worst match. I had the worst match when I fought in the back of a semi-truck against Bunkhouse Buck. Or whoever it was.
No, yeah, Bunkhouse Buck.
Who used to be in one half of the team called Demolition, but it's all a different thing. Smash. Anywho, yeah, Dustin Rhodes said this was great. This is entertaining. I had the worst match ever. This is the worst match ever. I'm like going.
No, that was actually halfway entertaining.
Yeah,
back in the day.
I thought that was entertaining for what it was and for where WCW was at that time. And then let alone there's people out here, this is great, yay, Jarrett winning. Going, there was nothing of value. This added nothing to value, served no purpose. Didn't make me want to go buy the video game. Didn't make me want to do anything. It made me want to cry my eyes out. Tony, you owe me money for life I spent. I don't know.
Remember what Miguel even said? Like, can I get my 20 minutes back?
Can I get something back? Because, I mean, good God, this was just like, I don't know what Tony Khan woke up on that day and decided, or whenever he woke up and decided, we're going to have a Texas death match. We're going to put Jeff Jarrett versus Jeff Hardy. And we're going to have it. And everybody was out there. Everybody involved in everything. It was just like a crap show. Didn't lead to nothing. Had no reason to happen. Had no reason to, and nothing to follow with. It just Jeff Jarrett won.
Between you and I've been the bigger Jeff Jarrett advocate. But even I'm like, no, just no.
I'm like, what? Is there not anybody else? Like, why does Jarrett get to win this match? Why does Jarrett get to go over?
Well, I mean, does it really matter? Even if Hardy won, I'd be saying the same thing.
Well,
It
true,
was still a
but
crap match.
but I mean, there was nobody else. There was no other storyline that we could actually use to build to this match to say, hey, here, that makes sense. At least give me something than just randomness of randomness on top of randomness.
Would have been better if Grado did a run in.
At least you could have built into the AEW All In event that he's supposed to take on Jeff Jarrett. I don't know. Got a pop, done something. I mean, at least it's done something other than watching Saddam Singh chokeslam Jeff Hardy for a 1-2-3 where he pulled Jarrett over him. I mean, it was just, and it was all red light and everybody. Sometimes I wonder if Tony Khan is like talking to Vince. I swear. Anywho, let's get into the next match. We had Britt Baker and the Bunny. Britt Baker eventually wins and gets to go on to the four-way dance at All In for the women's title, which still doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, why do you have Toni Storm drop a title before All In to Sheeta just to put Sheeta, Toni Storm, Saray, and Britt Baker in a four-way dance for the title? Like, I can get, I guess, to balance it out for Britt Baker, but it still doesn't. None of it makes sense to me. It's just like, why? Why do we even give the title to Sheeta to put her in this match? And do we really want to believe Sheeta's going to lose the title already in a four-way dance? Of course, that could be easier. Maybe Saray wins it, and then we have animosity between.
You're going exactly where I was going to go with that.
Toni Storm and Saray. I mean, are we going to break up the Outcast already? Over,
No, I don't think we're going to break up the Outcast.
I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, you gave Sheeta the title, but now you're making her defend it in a four-way when the storyline is with the other three. Like, Sheeta doesn't have anything to do with the storyline. She
does, but not as directly.
Yeah.
Because they kind of use her almost as an alternate as opposed to one of the main players against the Outcast.
Then we got the Guns versus the Bucks and the brother versus brother tag match.
Tag team.
Of course, the Bucks win, and then the Bang Bang Gun Club, which is the Gun Club and Bullet Club Gold, come out.
They're all Bullet Club Gold, but just kind of like the Elite, called themselves the Elite, even when they were still part of Bullet Club.
So then we get
one of those deals.
FTR comes out and saves the Bucks, and that was that. And then somewhere in here, of course, I forgot the whole stupidity of stupidity. Also, we had a Jim Ross interview with Omega at Daly's place. Or was that Tony Schiavone? Was it Ross? No, it was Ross, wasn't it? It was Jim Ross, yeah. It was good old JR. He had an interview with Omega, and then Don Callis showed up with Sakeshna and then jumped him, and then Jay White and Juice Robinson jumped in and helped beat down Omega. Omega wound up going to the hospital. And then later we got Hangman in front of a rolling door, which you can freaking tell is the back of the stadium or the back of the arena, telling us he's at the hospital because he's standing in front of an ambulance. And just the worst booking story. I mean, just like Tony Khan, why you couldn't go to a hospital and stand out front of it at least, or use a green screen of a hospital in the background instead of just like we didn't know he was standing backstage. And then we get another match announced all of a sudden just because Omega gets jumped. Now we're getting and Omega's still in the hospital, but we get a match announced because Adam Page is at the imaginary hospital where now we're gonna get Takeshna, Jay White, and Juice Robinson versus Kenny Omega, Adam Hangman Page, and Kota Ibushi. Because why not?
Yep.
Let's just throw matches together real quick. Tony Khan is desperate. He's trying to live up. Yes, it is official that AEW All In has outsold WrestleMania 32. So, quote unquote, they are the largest selling wrestling event ever, but that's still, you got to say, a one night event. Because WrestleMania still beats them out from last year with 130,000. They're predicting that number will be broken with WrestleMania this year because WrestleMania this year's already sold 90,000. Now, the only thing in that is, yes, WrestleMania is 2 nights, but it's one event. So, I mean, the wording and everything we're going to get going forward is going to get really interesting because Tony Khan's he sold the most tickets to the largest wrestling event ever. I think WWE is going to come out going, oh, no, we sold the most tickets to the largest wrestling event ever. Even though it's 2 nights, it's still one WrestleMania event. So, it's going to get real interesting. And, of course, we'll still wait till the day that somebody beats the largest wrestling event ever. No, it wasn't paid for, but if we go back, and a lot of people are talking about it, so I'm glad people are jumping on this because a lot of the wrestling world are talking about the New Japan Pro Wrestling, WCW, Collision in Korea.
Collision in Korea.
Yeah, where 150,000 Koreans in North Korea were forced to go. And if you want a retrospect on that, go watch Dark Side of the Ring. They have a whole story on that where several people talk about how that went down, and that was an interesting story. So, we got several matches for All In on the card tonight. It's building to be a decent card. I don't know if it's going to be out the blowout card that Tony Khan is trying to sell it as, or all its announced team and everybody else is trying to sell this as the biggest event. I mean, it's like, it could be the biggest event, but if you don't produce the card that's going to do it, I just don't know. And there's just kind of a lot of what ifs and we'll sees. Anyways, back to Friday night. We had a great Smackdown. Probably the best Smackdown in a while. And of course, it was more of a retrospect, so we didn't get a whole lot of wrestling. We got a lot of video on Edge. 25 years of Edge in WWE. In the whole show, throughout the show, we got some great history on Edge, which is awesome to see. We opened with the Grayson Waller effect. Rey Mysterio and
Santos Escobar.
Santos Escobar. There we go. Were the guest. Waller's trying to create heat between Santos and Rey Mysterio by saying, well, telling Rey that he stole Santos' spot. Santos eventually took the mic and said, no, he didn't steal it. I gave him the blessing. So they're showing them as being compadres right now. I still think that that's something that will happen later. Eventually, Theory came out.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely planting the seeds for later.
Eventually, Theory came out and claimed that he didn't lose the title, that Rey wasn't really the person he was supposed to wrestle, so Rey has to get back the title. Adam Pearce came down and was about to say something when L.A. Knight, came out to say, I want to talk at you, and he came out and talked about Theory and basically challenged Theory. So we got an Austin Theory versus L.A. Knight match. That match kicked off. The bell started the ring, and all of a sudden, The Miz, like he told us, showed up and sat in commentary for this match. And of course, ran some interference before LA Knight got rolled up with Austin Theory rolled up LA Knight with a handful of tights for the 1, 2, 3. And this was a match for a U.S. title match. So right now, Austin Theory is going to get another match against Rey Mysterio as it stands for the U.S. title. Then we got some more Edge retrospect. Great stuff. Then we got a Charlotte Flair Bianca Belair match versus Damage Control. Bianca Belair and Flair win. Bayley takes the pin. Belair looks good, and not a whole lot to say there. Just continuing a small storyline. We'll see how that plays out. Then we got some more Edge retrospective, which was great stuff. And then we got the Street Profits versus the OC, but we didn't get any entrances. We just got them all in the ring. I think OC's music was still playing when they came back on. Street Profits win. They look good. The match was good. I'm not saying anything about that. The Street Profits weren't wearing their SP on their trunks anywhere this week, which was interesting. They were still called the Street Profits, but I don't know if that's going to continue or if we're going to see a paint. They both look slightly different in their gear a little bit, not a whole lot, but anywho.
Right.
OC looked like the OC. I have it. You know what? I think I know what they need to do with the OC. But the Street Profits win. They're on the stage, and Bobby Lashley's music comes on. What's interesting is Bobby Lashley's music hits. And Angelo Dawkins gets all excited. Montez Ford kind of looks disturbed. If you go back and watch it, he's kind of like, what? I mean, after Lashley came out, he was fine. But for the moment the music was playing, he kind of had an interesting look on his face, like he wasn't happy about Lashley coming out. I was very confused. And then Lashley comes out.
He kind of looked a little surprised, but kind of miffed at the same time.
Yeah, there was just a weird look in his face. Like, you see Angelo Dawkins really got it. He's like, yeah, but Montez Ford didn't look as excited, which was very interesting to me in that whole storyline. And then I look at this and go, whatever they're doing with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, wherever this is going, they need to move in this direction, where they need to have a better interview or announce or move into a stable name or do something. Just having the Street Profits win and Lashley come out and be like, yay, good boys, it's kind of like, okay, where are we going? Like,
slow burn, and because they're still concentrating on other things, other storylines, more than this, but they're just giving us something.
Yeah, it's kind of there. OC, another loss. You know what? I have a great idea for the OC. I think it's time for WWE to jump onto the quote-unquote Bullet Club ride. Bullet Club's everywhere, right? Well, WWE could, in theory, in several different ways, do their own Bullet Club. One way, they could bring back the NWO. The original quote-unquote Bullet Club. I mean, this is a lot of where the Bullet Club kind of got their ideas and some of their blessings from Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. So WWE could bring back the NWO. Who do you put in the NWO? I think it's finally time you put the club back together. This is my least likely thing, but I think if you took Balor, threw him with the OC, or Gallows and Anderson, and finally threw AJ Styles on there, moved them to Monday Night Raw, and made them like NWO, like an outside group that's coming in to take over and start building up a thing, you could do something with them. What I would actually call them is, I wouldn't call them that. I'd call them the Elite Club. You're playing off the Bullet Club. You're making a little elite, and they can get away with it because it's not the Elite. It's just the Elite Club. And I think it would be good. It would give AJ, Finn Balor, you could put JD McDonough in the group, and them, and build. Like, I just feel like they need a big heel faction that's going to just kind of terrorize everybody. And like, if you split up, because really to me, Judgment Day, I don't think there's much you can put new people in there, but I don't think Judgment Day is going to be the same. It's going to collapse. I think Rhea Ripley and Dom on their own could be a whole lot better as an act away from this Judgment Day theory. It was so good to hear Rhea come out to her music, because her music's awesome. Hearing that hit where it's, "This is my brutality," you know. And I think that you could do such a better storyline. Like, you break Dirty Dom and Rhea away from Judgment Day, and you take them and let them reprise in their own way the Eddie Guerrero China storyline, and you let him. I mean, I would even let Dom come out to Eddie's music just to play that whole character. And Dirty Dom, the character's already there. He can lie, cheat, and steal, and start all that crap. And he's already said, "Oh, Eddie's my dad." I would totally have him become more and more like Eddie, do everything Eddie, and just sell that he's Eddie's son. That could further a storyline with him and Ray and any other storylines. I just think them two together on their own would be a whole lot better than they're kind of like in Judgment Day. Damian Priest can go babyface and be fine. And I think you take Balor, and Balor goes, "Okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back and get some old friends." And you bring Balor with, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows. You bring AJ Styles. This finally gives AJ Styles something to do. And AJ Styles being heel in a faction like this, I can live with. You can throw JD McDonough in there, and you could build other people that could fit in that faction and do like an NWO slight takeover of the WWE. And hell, for all I care is you can make that a Vince storyline in the end. It's like Vince was the one who repackaged or brought these guys back or revitalized a NWO group or the Elite Club or whatever club you want to call it to take down WWE, to take down Triple H's WWE. Because why not make money on something that's out there that everybody else is kind of doing, and you have some of this group where you can do it, and you could be interesting.
Well, we know if Vince was running the show by himself, he wouldn't do it because it wasn't his creation.
Well, that's
why the company's not doing it now? What, has it under other creative hands? Don't know, don't understand.
Well, they got.
But it's easy to print money this way if they would.
Yeah, no. Shoot, where did I go? I need to go here, baby. Anywho, then we go into, we had the backstage segment with Paul Heyman and Kayla Braxton, which eventually led to the announcement that Jimmy Uso is going to be back next week on Smackdown. So we're going to continue that storyline. Right now, I think WWE's doing a good thing. We're going to keep the bloodline off TV a little bit, let that story kind of breathe, and eventually come back around later. Because it definitely seemed like they're probably going to do Jimmy J at WrestleMania, probably where that match should take place. I don't think there's anything great right now on a one-on-one match that I would waste that yet. Unless you're going to do it and then build the biggest match. If you're going to have a 3-match setup to go into WrestleMania and make the WrestleMania the final match.
It could be fair as well, but they're doing their dangest to try to just build it.
Yep.
And by letting it breathe, that actually helps build it more than if they, put a match of Payback.
So that was SmackDown. SmackDown was. Oh wait, no, that wasn't SmackDown. We had Edge versus Sheamus, and Edge. What a match! What a great match! Edge and Sheamus went back and forth. Edge, of course, wins, and then Edge announces in his very weird way that he doesn't know what's going to happen next. He doesn't know what's going to happen. He does say that, he doesn't think he can do it for another year to make it back there. He does factually state after the show this is his quote-unquote final match in Toronto. So we don't know what that means. Is this Edge's final match? I don't know. I think a lot
Time will tell.
Yeah, I think a lot of things say that he knows his time's up. If he has anything, it may be a year or two left. And then that's, I don't think he has much left. Now, The current contract with WWE is up. I think he'll go home and sit. Will WWE bring him back on a contract where they use him sporadically? Maybe. Is he going to show up at All In? I don't know if that's the right. I mean, it's a pop. Yes. Is it the right pay-per-view event to bring him back yet? I don't think so. Because I don't know what you're going to do with him in AEW. And of course, you won't have Edge. You either have like a Sexton Hardcastle or Adam Copeland or an Adam Copeland Edge or some variation of something. But again, I look at it and go, can Edge really, is there anything other than a pop that Edge is really going to bring to AEW? Now, granted, yes, he can go work with younger stars, but how often is he going to work? I don't think he's going to be on a full-time contract. Yes, I think a lot of people want to see him re-team with Christian, but we've never seen them outside of WWE as a tag team. Christian, yes, was in TNA, and now he's in AEW. And Christian's in his own storyline as a heel. I don't know if you'd bring Adam Copeland into AEW and make him a heel of the team. I would understand if they came back, he tagged up with Christian on a brief run, and then them and FTR had a feud. That would all make sense. But overall, I don't think it's a long run if he goes to AEW. It may be a one-year thing on a couple of spots. I don't think it's going to be this big thing. I don't think he's going to show up at All In. I just don't see a purpose other than to get a big pop. You know, it's not like you're going to, it's a big pop. I don't know. It's just, Again, I don't know if Tony Khan would know what to do.
I understand from a long-term point of view, but just like the original All In was really more about the one-off, that could be a one-off for this All In if it's possible.
Yeah.
And if
his contract's up, I believe there's no compete clause. So it's hard to say. I don't know if I want to see him there. I mean, he's a WWE lifer. Yes, he appeared in WCW in his very, very early iterations, but wasn't really a namesake in WCW. But I don't know. Could I see him teaming with Christian? I don't see him doing anything other than going there to team with Christian and maybe take on FTR. But I don't even know if he went there, if FTR is going to be there much longer. FTR has been hinting that they're pretty much at the end of their road course. And other events that we'll discuss in the news, I don't know what that's going to do to FTR in long term. Short term, I don't think it has any effect. So what Edge, Adam Copeland does from here is a wait and see. Will he appear at All In? I know there's everybody's out there just assuming he's going to appear at All In. That all these hints and all these things, all these little FTR, Dax Hardwood sent out stuff. These people have sent out stuff.
Everybody likes the fantasy book.
I'm just going, I think, yeah, you're going to pop it all in. Cool. But I don't know if Tony Khan knows how to do anything to follow it up with. You know? And I don't know what Edge...
But that's the thing, is if it's a one-off, he doesn't have to.
No, that's true. But I think that's a disappointment to the fans if you get Adam Copeland for one little event and not a follow-through. Anywho, we have to wait and see. We got Rampage, which is probably one of the better shows of the week. Ray Phoenix versus the Commander. Ray Phoenix went over. We got a video package about QT winning a new title in Triple X. I don't know what title he won.
Triple A.
Huh? Triple A, that's right. He won a new title in Triple A. I don't know what
the
title
Latin American heavyweight title or something like that.
QT won a title. It was surprising. Then we got Brother Zay and Ethan Page versus Aussie Open. Aussie Open with the win. Nothing. They talked about their match coming up. And then we got Sammy Guevara versus John Cruz with Guevara winning. And then we had Tony Storm and Ruby Soho versus Blue Sky and Shida. And I didn't write down the winner. Forgot what happened. I think it all broke down and Britt Baker came out and it was a whole mess. Rampage, good show.
It was just a way to promote the upcoming match.
Well, yeah. Well, Rampage stayed away from a lot of overly promoting. It just kind of gave us wrestling and was probably one of the better shows. So, anyways, that brings us to tonight, Saturday night, Collision. Saturday night, the fight night. Saturday night, the night. Collision's been doing the best ratings out of anything, but tonight, I don't know if it really lived up to the expectations and the hype. It started off hot. We got Samoa Joe in the ring, or coming down the ring to face the Golden Vampires. So we have sparkly vampires, now we have golden vampires. So yay, what a world we live in. Anyways, Joe's about to get in the ring. The Golden Vampire jumps him, knocks him out of the ring, gets him back in the ring, throws him in the corner, hits him with a high knee, and then puts him up on the shoulder and drops a GTS. After the GTS, the Golden Vampire rips off his mask, and we find out it's CM Punk. He walks away, gives a signal for the go to sleep, then gets a mic. And when he gets the mic, if anybody notices, he knocks off the AEW logo. like the sleeve that said AEW on it. You know,
At least he's consistent.
he pulls it off, throws it away. So, and then he goes, "I accept, bitch," to a passed out Samoa Joe. He walks out. Joe wakes up and sees CM Punk. You can see Joe's steaming. And so we get another match for All In, CM Punk versus Samoa Joe for the Real World Champion. Again, why do we have two titles in AEW like this? Are we WWE light? Is that what we're going for, Tony? Because, I mean, now it just feels like, oh, this is the Real World Champion. No, this is the Real World Champion. I'm just going, no, this just, no. No. We gave a show to Punk. We're going to give Punk a title, call him the Real World Champion. He's going to defend it. And we want AEW to be the other brand, the thing that
The alternate.
Yeah, the alternate, and we're getting something that was so very WWE because now we got two titles in AEW that just. Anyways, in a good match, I think a match you really liked tonight, we got Jay White versus Dalton Castle. Jay White came out with the Bullet Club Gold, and Dalton Castle came out with the boys. In a very good back and forth match. Jay White eventually wins. And then we get back from the break. And we have Tony Schiavone in the ring with Bullet Club Gold. They're talking about their upcoming match against Page Omega and Ibushi. They're all playing with Schiavone's fingers, making them point guns. I don't know, all types of weird stuff. And then Juice gets on the mic and tells Tony Khan, give us three guys. We want to fight. We want to get a warm-up match. So then we got Bronson, Boulder, and Jamison versus the Guns and Juice Robinson, which you know is Bear Country, but now Iron Savages. Not Iron Maiden, but
the Iron Savages.
Yeah, the Iron Savages. So that went on, and of course, eventually the Guns.
Yeah, and they make even less sense with their manager. Like when they were Bear Country, they were a pretty badass team. With their manager / tag team partner tonight, I'm like, why?
And the Guns and Juice Robinson.
He's like overtly 80s.
I don't know what to say. It was yeah. Then we got a video package from.
It was a match
from the House of Blacks, holding Billy Gunn's boots. They say rest in peace and move on. Then we get.
It was Rest in Pain. Because I thought the wording together was interesting.
Then we had Rush on the phone to his manager, and he wants Los Fascion Ingobernables to come to Mexico to address release. I don't know. Prince Vance and Commander are chilling in a bar in Mexico. They get kidnapped, which was, again, this was like, okay, this is like some old WCW stuff, even some old TNA stuff, like these, okay? So we'll see what happens with.
I don't know what they're trying to give that whole, like, not on this necessarily say gang type shit, but underground, real evil. Like, you know what they're going for.
Then we get Ricky Starks in the ring talking to
Cartel shit.
And then we jump on to Tony Schiavone in the ring with Ricky Starks talking about his suspension. Starks says he's angry, he's raged, he doesn't want to come here. And then we pan to the camera to Big Bill, and I guess now Ricky Starks is Big Bill's manager, and it's Big Bill now going heel. I thought Big Bill and Brian Cage were babyfaces. And they were chanting Big Bill's name, just like.
When was he babyface?
When he was tagging with Brian Cage in these last few matches, the crowd had been chewing his name, Big Bill, Big Bill, and they've been coming out.
Yeah, he was still heel despite whether the fans cheer for him or not. He was still heel.
Yeah, okay.
There was nothing face about him.
They whip his opponent afterwards. Then we get video footage of the Darby Allin, Sting, and Costa AR Fox and Swerve at AR Factory. Which was great. Just continues their feud to the coffin match, I guess, at All In. Then we had the Will Nightingale versus Diamante match. Eventually, Martinez comes down, and her whole thing, Will Nightingale still wins. We got another video package of FTR versus the Young Bucks. Oh, I forgot in Dynamite. I didn't even talk about the longest segment on Dynamite. Adam Cole and MJF and their long-ass segment to sell a match that were like, okay, we don't. I'm like, I get it. You got to continue selling it. But, man, they had the longest segment on Dynamite this week where they were just bickering back and forth. And then at the end we had, again, Crybaby or the wounded ex-girlfriend, Roddy Strong crying around.
Roderick Strong.
I'm just like, it's so sad. Back to Collision. After that, we had an interview with Tony Storm. And then we went into the Powerhouse Hobbs match where he looked really good, a really decent match. And then we had a video with Miro. And I guess the redemption's coming out at All Out. So maybe we'll get Miro and Hobbs at All Out. So they're continuing that feud. Really good stuff going on. Darby Allin and Christian Cage with Luchasaurus match. Went back and forth. Good match. Christian looked good. Darby Allin looked good. Darby Allin was the winner in that match. And then afterwards, Luchasaurus chokeslams Darby Allin, and then has Christian pin him, makes Shani Schiavone count the 1, 2, 3, and then Christian and Luchasaurus celebrate the victory in their own way as we fade out of Collision, which was, probably wasn't the best show. I'd probably have to say SmackDown with the hype from Edge, then a Raw, then maybe a Collision, maybe a Rampage, Dynamite sitting at the bottom. It was just, I don't know.
Well, the great thing is, no matter how bad wrestling is, rather watch bad wrestling than some other things out there.
True. So, that was the week in wrestling review. News. Man, there's a lot of news in wrestling. So, it looks like after last week's Collision, CM Punk got on the mic and trashed Adam Hangman Page, calling him, or saying, I know why your name is Hangman, because you're a peg warmer. And this was after Collision went off the air and suing that Adam Page was a peg warmer, which means his toys, his merchandise just kind of hangs on the peg and it's not a seller. He doesn't sell like CM Punk, which led to a whole lot of backlash because currently Punk has an agreement with the legal team and all the aspects, and the same thing goes for the Elite. They can't badmouth one another, like they can't trash talk one another. So Punk going after Hangman makes it seem like, well, okay, you can't hit the Elite, so you hit their best friend. Very interesting. The other aspect in this, a lot of people are pissed off at Tony Khan that he was allowed to go out there and say this after the Elite had just re-signed their contracts. Like, oh, okay, so they re-signed their contracts, and now the Elite get to stay, and now you're going to let Punk off the leash. It seemed like Punk was kind of held to some degree, but now it's like Punk's out leashes. Of course, now it's stated that Punk went and takes Hangman and said, I'm sorry for what I said. It didn't come out the way I meant it. Like, what do you mean? How other did you saying, you're a peg warmer, your merchandise doesn't sell? What? How else can you take that? So I don't know what's going on. I know there's a lot of thought and theory that maybe because of the way things have been done and things CM Punk has said, maybe CM Punk has some type of management title. Maybe he has something in that he's a part of it. Maybe Punk's running Collision, because this also didn't only lead into Punk in this storyline. This also started opening the door to Punk having words with Ryan Nemeth. Ryan Nemeth supposedly came to a Collision show. Punk and Ryan Nemeth got into it because Ryan Nemeth, after the first Collision where Punk came back, called Punk the softest man alive. Punk didn't like that, shoot him out, and sent him home. Or at least Nemeth was sent home. We don't know why. Also was sent home at the disgruntledness of Punk. Ace Steel is still with AEW, but is not allowed to be on any shows because of the Elite. So Christopher Daniels was
the head of talent relations
is on Collision and was sent home because it wasn't fair for him to be there because he's buddies and was part of the thought of Ace Steel wasn't be there. But the thing is, he's the head of talent relations. He has to be there to deal with things that happen between the talent. If there's a disagreement between the talents in the match or whatever's going on, Christopher Daniels kind of needs to be there, but he got sent home. So we don't know if Punk sent him home. We don't know if Tony Khan sent him home. The fact of the matter is, how do you send home the head of your talent relations? I mean, that's illogical. There is too much power on one side. Supposedly there was an issue between Matt Hardy and CM Punk, where Matt Hardy was kicked out. Hangman Page was supposed to do a video vignette. Maybe it was the one for the hospital on the show and was told to leave and go do it somewhere else. He was kicked out of the building. So a lot of rumors and speculation have just come out, spilled out after Punk's little tirade on the mic. And again, where's Tony Khan in any of this? Blowing it off. Tony Khan came out and basically said he can't speak on that, but he's happy that it's bringing eyes to the program, that it's, it's bringing attention. At least we're getting attention. Like, what, you really? Are you an idiot? Like, really, you're happy that you're getting really negative attention on your product right now because CM Punk's saying stupid stuff, which started the original stupid stuff because you sat there like a fan that was like, why CM Punk ran you and your company down. And now he's twisting stuff and you're sitting here telling me that, well, I can't speak on that, but, at least it's showing eyes. People are talking about AEW. I'm just going, Tony, Are you a fan or a business owner? Like Tony Khan needs to come out and make some like, hey, you know what? We're not doing this anymore. Look, things were said, and we're going to squash this. We're not going to allow this. Yes, WWE has stuff that comes out sometimes, granted, but WWE knows how to navigate it, how to get it squashed, makes their announcements or statements on whatever the matter is, and gets it, squashed or done or something happens. AEW, nothing happens. It just goes on and just grows into this manifesting ball. People are starting to slowly come back to AEW after the brawl out. A lot of people turned their back on it, and they're starting to go, okay, maybe it's calmed down. We'll see what's going on. We'll give it another chance. And then they get hit with this again. This is pushing fans away. And it's the worst time because you're going all in. Now you have negativity. The all-in card has not really been
Is
built.
it?
Huh?
Is it really pushing fans away? In an industry full of nothing but storytellers, this is why some people feel it's all a fucking work.
It's
Because you can't tell me the modern day fans. Now, let me phrase that: the modern day internet fans, not your casual fan that just watches the show and that's it. But us who sit here and talk about it, we're continually plugged in to see what is the next story, what is the next thing that allegedly is going to happen.
Yeah, it's good for
while
business.
we're watching the show.
It's good for business for us, but I mean, I'm talking, the people, the casual fans are being turned away, and some fans, and a lot of the IWC, is not happy about the way things are going. There's a lot of people who are kind of like,
but they're still watching and they're still talking about it.
Because this
so
is
again,
but you have to do what's best for business. If this is our business, and if we ever get to the point of making money off of it, we're watching it to make money. We should be watching because we're fans. Yes, granted. But the other aspects, if it becomes a profitable business and you're making money off it, like a lot of these bigger programs are, then yeah, you're watching it because it's what's making your money. You got to know what's going on. You got to be plugged in.
it's hard for me to trust that this, as ridiculous as everything has been, and knowing that Tony Khan does know professionalism from other things outside of wrestling, being a part of the Jaguars, etc.
Yeah.
It's like, you're telling me he's this silly. I'll try to use nicer words.
I don't know, because he's proven he's pretty. I mean, the incident with Punk and then this coming out, and Punk
again. I'm saying that whole thing, even Brawl Out. I'm saying the whole thing still feels like it could be a work just to continue fan interest in the product.
I think it could be a bad work, though. I mean, I think this could backfire. If this comes out as a work, I think you could turn off fans too, because they're gonna go, oh.
Which is why Tony Khan's keeping his mouth shut. It's why he can't comment on anything.
No, but
you can't catch someone alive if they never speak.
But again, there's a whole legal agreement that's come out for the new show.
Allegedly.
No, there's a legal agreement. It's come out somewhere. There's a legal contract.
We're basing off of what people say. We don't know for a fact. We don't have any documents in front of us.
Well, I mean, other than the two biggest faces in the IWC, Meltzer and Sean Rossap, I mean, they're the ones.
Again, they don't have shit in front of them either. Well, they're going based off of what their sources tell them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's why I say, in an industry full of storytellers, you're telling me you don't believe that this could possibly be a work.
Not on this one, just because of the way it's gone back and forth, and it just. You had to create a separate show.
What is the easiest way to bring kayfabe back than to just work this whole fucking thing?
But I get it. It could be good, but at the same time, it gets to a point where it could also just turn and backfire for what they're doing, because it's just like.
You're right, but that's any story.
No, I know. No, I don't see it. I don't get it. Tony Khan puts himself in some predicaments that are just like interesting. If he's really this brilliant mind, good for him. But he paints himself looking like more of an idiot every time. And the more the AEW goes on, the more it seems like a kind of a WWE light in certain stories. And then it's like, I don't know what you're doing.
I feel you.
So I mean,
somebody has to play the fool, and he's actually in the best position where it doesn't matter if he plays the fool or not.
There's two ways to look at it. It could be the greatest con, quote unquote, the greatest story, the greatest kayfabe, pull over the eyes of everybody, and turn everybody back, or it could blow up in his face and be okay, this was just not even worth the point. I don't know. A lot of the reason
I could see if this was happening in a small company, then I'd be more. To me, it'd be more believable because of just the general high school feel to it.
Well, in a smaller company, I might believe it's a better work because they would probably be doing something to get more attention. On this level, I just have a hard time digesting it in that sense. Also, because a lot of the things that have been said in WWE about Punk seem to be ringing true on this end. So.
Well, I mean, it's easier to draw upon, things that have happened in the past to turn it into a work.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe this is real, maybe it's not. I have no, proof either way, either.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's like, as ridiculous as the whole situation has been from start to present, it's harder and harder for me to take it seriously like this is real shit happening.
It just becomes more disappointing because I'm just like, if this is real, this is just the worst. It's not good for business. Tony Khan looks bad. If it's not, if it's real, if this is all real, and we say it's not kayfabe, and where I stand, I believe into it being real. Tony Khan looks like an idiot, and I don't get what. I mean, that's where I guess you could say it's kayfabe, because why would you allow yourself to look like such a big idiot as a businessman? And I get it. As a fan, you can be a fanboy all you want, but yeah, I mean, time and time again, he shows himself as a fanboy. I just the work and I don't know. It's got to come to a fruition. It's gone on long enough that it's at the point where we've got to see the payout. You know what I'm saying? That's what other people are saying. Like, if this is
the payout is the continuity of interest. That's all that this would be.
But a storyline like this has to have it's got to start coming to blend a little better. Like, it's still so far out there. Like, until we start seeing them cross paths or something that changes the scenario, it doesn't feel like it. And if it is, at some point you can carry it for a while, but you've got to give some dramatic to making everybody question it. Now you've pushed everybody to believe, for the most part, that this is real shit. If this is kayfabe, you've got to start blending it back. Like, something's got to happen to make you go, well, maybe we are being punked. Like, we've got to get to a point where we've dragged it way out here where it's really blown up and looking bad, and people are kind of in the middle ground of where they fall about how they feel about it. So now it's kind of time to start pulling it back to a point where if it is kayfabe, you got to bring everybody back in now. Everybody's starting to fall. Like, yeah, this is getting stupid. There's too much of this crap going on.
Yeah, it's why I stopped paying attention to it, because it is so bloody ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, other than the fact that we're here and it's news that came out, and we can't not. I mean, yes, we could not talk about it and avoid it, but it's such a big part of what's going on, and whether, this is where we have the discussion. You could be all kayfabe. We could all be being punked, totally. Or it's reality. I mean, so for me, it'd be like, hey, whatever, if we didn't have to talk about it, but everybody else is out there, and this is part of what we do. I mean, news is news, and we, for us, for anybody in the IWC, something like this is newsworthy. So it's something to talk about, which keeps us here, keeps us hopefully growing, becoming something bigger, hopefully making money at some point on this, because that's the ultimate goal. So yeah. Other news: Lacey Evans no longer with WWE, now known as Macy something, I forget. She may open, or she says she's opening OnlyFans, or had her first post on OnlyFans. Her husband already had an OnlyFans, so that's really interesting.
Was it more though about she had recently opened like a tea bar or something?
Yeah, she opened a cafe too. So.
Or a cafe, yeah.
Macy something, I forget what her freaking new name is. I'm just like, okay, like, you didn't do much in WWE. Like, in the beginning, the Southern Belle gimmick was kind of cool. You kind of had a good vignette when you were trying to tell your story, but then everybody fucked that shit up, and now you're gone, and we're supposed to Macy Estrella, or Estrella, Macy Estrella,
along those lines,
something like that. So that's her new name. Where she'll go, a lot of people are going, I was just going to show up at All In too, and I'm going,
no.
I can see Tony Khan throwing money.
I do want to see her in wrestling again, because I was kind of digging her last bit, even though everyone's like, Sergeant's daughter got a little pissy because she was stealing his gimmick. I'm like, Booch, she was in the military her damn self. He is not special. There have been other, Army and military-like characters in professional wrestling.
She was also in the Marine Corps.
Slaughter can get over him damn self.
So she was in the Marine Corps too. So that was the exact gimmick that Sergeant Slaughter was pulling, was a Marine Corps drill sergeant. So I mean, anyways, she kind of she's gone from WWE. She's opened to OnlyFans. I guess her husband has OnlyFans. They opened a cafe, and she'll be in wrestling. A lot of people are saying she's going to AEW. She'll be at All In. Tony Khan might throw money at that to get the pop. I don't know if she brings anything to it. Most likely, she does come back. I probably figure she'll be an Impact.
I would like to see her in Impact. That would be a good spot for her.
That's the Lacey Evan news. Edge retired, maybe. Edge not. We don't know. He had his last match under his
Yeah.
current contract. We're going to see what happens with Edge. And then in the other bigger news that just kind of dropped. So, big news coming out of AEW with FTR and Cash Wheeler.
Hmm.
It was reported as he arrested, but from what I read, he actually turned himself in on a warrant. So, I guess that's an arrest from a road rage incident that happened in the Orange County or the Orlando, Florida area. There was an incident of road rage between him and some other people. He didn't know the people. At some point, he flashed a gun, brandished a gun. We don't know all the details. I haven't figured it all out. It did happen on like July 27th. The incident happened on July 27th. On the July 28th, they issued a warrant. Orange County issued a warrant for Daniel Wheeler, if I remember, that is his real name. Cash Wheeler's the
Hmm.
AEW audience. Anyway, so a warrant was issued on the 27th or 28th of July. So, what tells me some incident happened on the 27th with a road rage incident. There was enough there that a judge signed off for a warrant to be issued for him. So there's enough evidence. There's enough there to say he did something. What? We don't exactly know. Yes, he's innocent until proven guilty. My question is, why is this issued on the 20th of July and he's just now turning himself in? Now, I have to assume that maybe the big thing is if you have a warrant for your arrest, you could get arrested at any time. The worst thing would be to fly out of country and get arrested. That could be really dangerous because then you could being looked like a fugitive from the law that you're running out of the country. So with the all in coming out, he may have decided, well, and of course he had an attorney, and he made like on August 3rd, his attorney turned in a non guilty plea, but the warrant was still fresh. So I don't know what all that was about. So maybe it wasn't handled, but I'm sure his attorney probably told him, look, dude, before you go over there, you need to come turn yourself in, and let's get this started. So he's turned himself in. From what I understand, he was released on $2,500 bail. He's supposed to turn all his guns in 12 hours after he was released, and they did not take his passport, so he is free to travel to England. I think he will travel to England. I think we will get the FTR Young Bucks match at All In. And I would definitely say now that FTR is probably going to drop the tag team titles back to the Young Bucks. Before, I was kind of, I don't exactly know.
Hmm.
And then I don't know. After that, he'll come back, and I'm sure he will face. I don't know if we're going to see FTR again for a while, because I would have to assume in many, many, many different cases, when you have a major production, a sports group like this, a wrestling business, or any sports, when somebody is being charged with a crime, even if they're innocent until they're proven guilty, there's still the NFL will normally suspend their players. Right now, Wander Franco of the Tampa Bay Rays is under investigations for allegations that he was having a relationship with a 14-year-old in the Dominican Republic, and he's been put on the restricted list and can't play right now. So I only bring that point up because I would assume that Tony Khan would have to either suspend or have Cash Wheeler be removed from TV and the product until he resolves this matter, because it's only good for business. You can't have somebody that's in a questionable situation until you know what's going on. And he can be completely innocent, but I know a lot of people are like, oh, he needs to be suspended. They need to be stripped of the titles. Or, oh, well, we got to give the benefit to Cash Wheeler. You know, he's not guilty. Who knows? He just had a bad day. Something happened, blah, blah, blah. You know, da-da-da. But I'm like, yeah, but if you look anywhere else, if somebody does something, even if they're not convicted yet and they're going through criminal charges, they are still removed from that for the time being until everything's still resolved. Figure out what's going on, or they do their own investigation. I mean, we saw that with a lot of the Me Too movements when a lot of the people came out with the allegations against them. A lot of people were removed from at least WWE TV at that time and other brands until they were figured out, which way.
Oh, people in AEW were removed as well.
So, I mean, I
They
think
just happen to be the lower card guys.
I just think at this time, we're probably going to. I don't think. You know, I know a lot of people, and I get it. He probably, you know, in one right, you want to say you shouldn't be on TV, you shouldn't be at the pay-per-view. But I think the pay-per-view is already there. It's a big match. You go have them drop the tag team titles at All In. And I think that's the last you're going to see of FTR for now. Again, also, though, the only thing is I don't know what FTR is going to do. Because the last few times we've heard from FTR, last several months, it seems like FTR is on the end of their career. At least with Dax Harwood. Dax Harwood definitely seems like he's kind of done. This is their last run. This is their last hurrah. This is kind of the wrapping up. I don't see them going on much further. And Dax Harwood has announced that he doesn't really want to be a single star.
Well, the thing also is, with at least as of a few months ago, Dax Harwood was saying this is their last major company contract,
Yeah.
which means they might still go out and do indie stuff here and there,
Yeah.
but it won't be like the weekly the way it is now.
No, and I get that, but from what I've gotten, they're pretty much on their wind down. I think this is, regardless of what's happening with Cash Wheeler, I think this is already in the plans. I think there's a pretty good chance the Bucks were going to win the titles back anyways. The Bucks just re-signed, so let's give them back the titles, I'm sure. And then FTR is kind of dropping the titles because who else can they really drop the titles to? Who else are they going to go out on? I feel like we're getting, this is going to be the big last ride for FTR. Will they still be on AEW TV? Maybe, but I don't think we're going to see them as high profile. Now, with the Cash Wheeler going off and doing his thing, and this court cases can take months, years, so who knows how that affects everything. But I think we're getting to the end of FTR. And, of course, FTR and Dax Harwood have been telling you this is pretty much the end. And I know Dax Harwood has been very adamant about, he wants to go home to his wife and kids. He has no desire to be a single star. I think Cash Wheeler's said the same thing in some terms, but I don't recall as much of what Cash Wheeler said as much as Dax Harwood seems a little more outspoken.
Cash doesn't talk as much as Dax, but he's had the same sentiment.
So, I mean, neither of them really feel like they want to go be single stars. And from what I'm gathering from everything they've said, they're pretty much done. I think they're getting to that point where they want to just go off, enjoy their lives, and if they get that itch to wrestle, they're going to show up at some indie show, do some wrestling, and have a little bit of fun instead of dealing with all the business and the work rate that is required. So, Cash Wheeler, I don't know. It's an interesting situation. If you're driving down the road and have a road rage incident and you're arguing with somebody, and I know there's a lot of us that don't like people, don't like how they drive, we get mad. But if something like this happened, the fact of the matter, a warrant was ever issued just tells me there was enough there to say something happened. So we have to get it into there's something there. Did he vanish a gun? We don't know. Did somebody think they saw a gun? We don't know. What's going to happen? We just have to wait and see. He is innocent until he's proven guilty. I hope this was just, I know he lives, I know his residency is in North Carolina. He lives in the Asheville area of North Carolina, close to Edge. I believe Edge and all of them are fairly close neighbors, if not in the same neighborhood. I can't pinpoint that exactly, so I don't know. Unless they recently moved down to Florida, the only thing I can assume was, I don't know where they were on July 27th, AEW for that, but this was in the Orlando, Orange County area, so a lot of traffic. So I can understand that something could happen. You could get angry, get frustrated. Hopefully, this was just an incident. Hopefully, it's not as a severe incident, and that we get it straightened out. And it's not news I really want to get into when it comes to an in-depth personal life of a wrestler, but it's news, and it's what we're here to tell you. So really, for me, I look at it this way. I hope Cash Wheeler, or Daniel Wheeler as his real name is, gets it taken care of, does whatever he needs to. If he did something, then, I believe he's the type of man to say, hey, I made a mistake. Let's, whatever we need to do to correct this, let's get it done. If he didn't do it, then hopefully he's able to adamantly approve, like, hey, this didn't happen, and we can all go on with our lives, and everybody can go happy. Otherwise, I don't know if this really affects anything. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, maybe he won't be there, or maybe he will. But, everything tells me he's going to be there. I think the right move, honestly, is to let him finish off the match in All In because it's already booked. You need to get the titles off of FTR anyways. And I think that's the direction you go. And Cash Wheeler goes and does with his stuff, and you kind of let FTR go off into the sunset. Maybe you have one more match on a TV Dynamite or a Collision. Maybe you have Punk and them have one more match. But I don't see FTR around much longer. So that probably disappoints everybody's theory of CMFTR against the Elite. I'm sure you could bring back FTR for that one-off match maybe, but you don't know. A lot of things may change depending on the fallout of all that. Anything you heard that I haven't mentioned tonight? Any big splashing news or?
Not off the top of my head.
All right. I think we've covered.
That was kind of the biggest thing was the Cash Wheeler.
Well, I think we caught everybody by surprise, and there's still questions that AEW know about it at the beginning or just now. So that says a lot too. If AEW didn't know it and he was trying to cover it up, there may be more to it. I don't know. That's just speculation. From what I understood, AEW didn't know about it until he was actually arrested and in jail. So that could be interesting because he obviously had to know. I don't know. Maybe he didn't know he had a warrant for his arrest, which is really interesting. And I know they travel a lot, so it's hard to say all the details. We can speculate over everything. My biggest thing is let's just hope it's nothing serious. If he did something and made a mistake, hopefully it's just that, and he can stand up and go, look, I made a mistake that day. Deal with it, because I believe FTR is very much a representation of them own selves, just maybe turned up a degree. But I believe these are two men who are respectable men, who are hardworking men, who are going to, pretty much do the right thing, even if they're a heel team. At the end of the day, I think these are two respectable men that, would do the right thing. So I'm assuming if he did something wrong, if he screwed up, I'm assuming he would step up and go, hey, I made a mistake. What do I need to fix it? Let's go on. If he didn't do it, that he's going to fight to prove that he didn't do it. And hopefully that's proven at this point. That is all. This is the weekly roundup for August 19th of 2023. There was a big time bullet of rants on the channel where we go, who's being punked? Was it the fans, or is it Tony Khan, or is it the Elite, or who's getting punked? So go check that out if you haven't. We will be here next week with another weekly roundup as we start rolling along in these things. Again, Miguel's over on Spotify with the not the AEW, with the Value of Wrestling podcast, where he talks about New Japan Pro Wrestling. And we're here each and every week doing this. We feel in the meantime with big time rants. Maybe there'll be some new programs. Always options, always growing, always developing. But with all that said, I think it's time to wrap it up. You've done your job.
Absolutely.
Now you can go home and sleep well. Yes, no. And if you say I stole that from somebody, yes, we know. I think if you're a YouTuber, you're probably a fan of YouTubers, and you all kind of take from one another. So, anywho, it's been a pleasure. Remember, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. And make sure you like this. Go ahead and drop your comments. If there's something you want us to talk about, if there's something you want us to go over, drop it in the comments below. If you want us to do NXT, Impact, if there's something out there that we missed, let us know. This is a place for us all to come together and talk about the world of professional wrestling, sports entertainment, the business we love, what we love about it. Also join us on Facebook. There'll be a link below where you can link to the Facebook group, where a lot of chats, a lot of quick updates are always on for the Value of Wrestling. So that's really where a lot of news pops up. When we see something interesting, we throw it up there and we run with it. So you never know what you're going to get there, and it's a great place to chat with other members of the group and grow. But with that said, I'm the big time. I say that guy right there is
Paulus Clarke.
Yeah. Let me talk at you. Anyways, this has been the Value of Wrestling. We vow to put the value back in the wrestling. I'm the big time. And that's Paulus Clarke. I am going to get us out of that, and we're there. We thank you for joining us. We hope to see you next week.